There's a number in your head right now. It's the amount you would spend without blinking on something that makes the next 20 minutes feel all right. A session, a custom, a subscription, a tribute, a drain. A few more minutes with an internet girlfriend who's actually a rotating team of guys paid to keep you attached and keep you paying. And they're really good at it. And listen, I'm not saying that to shame you, okay? I say it because they're literal professionals at the exact thing you keep trying to beat with willpower alone. And I want you to notice something. When you send that money, you don't check your bank app first. You don't slip on it. You don't ask yourself or a friend if it's worth it. Is this worth it? Should I do it? Should I not do it? No, you just do it. Because you're activated and the relief is immediate. It's guaranteed. You know exactly what you're getting. Now think about the last time someone actually offered you a way out. A real way to stop feeding the loop and start dismantling it. What was the first word that popped up in your mind? For most men, it's one of two. Either expensive or it's a scam. Well, I want to talk to you about that word because it might be the most expensive word you say and it costs you a lot more than just money. Now, quick thing before we get into today's content. I just want to let you know that the doors to the 14-day self-command reset are open this week. You can find the link in the description below. Okay, cool. Now let's get into today's video. I wanted to look at something and try not to get defensive, okay? Try not to flinch about this. I just wanted to take a closer look at where your resources go. Where are they flowing? And I'm not talking here just about money. I'm talking about your time, about your attention, about your energy, the good hours of your day, the sharpest part of your focus. All that again, including your money, yes, is your energy. And it flows toward whatever numbs you. And the things you use to numb yourself with, they pull you back, and they pull you back hard from whatever might change you for the better. A man wrote to me once. He told me that he would send money 3 separate times to people that he thought he could trust, and every single time it just disappeared into someone else's pocket. Gone, just like that. And I don't think he was stupid or careless with everything in his life, no, but in that one area where the ache lives, the wallet just opens without any question. And then there was this other email that I got a few weeks ago, and I'm going to remember this one. This man wrote to me word for word. He said, "I'm still trying to figure out if you really care about us or you're a Venus flytrap. But in any case, I would pay you immediately $1,000 just to be at your feet." Should I read that again? "I'm still trying to figure out if you really care about us or if you're a Venus flytrap. But I would send you right now $1,000 if you would just let me be at your feet." So in one breath, he tells me that he's not sure if I'm a trap, and he offers to hand me over $1,000 on a spot. There's suspicion in an open wallet living in the same sentence. That's crazy. So that right there is the whole thing that I want you to see today. Because the same kind of man, the one who'd send $1,000 to be at my feet or another woman's feet without a second thought, will sit across from a woman, a real woman, in real life that he would actually have a good time with and a good conversation, then watch the check land on the table, right, at dinner, and then feel attacked. He would feel used, like he's being played. Like, why do I have to pay for the bill? And think that the woman is a gold digger. So sit with that for a second. $1,000 gone in an instant, no hesitation. For what? For the loop, for the compulsion, for the obsession. A fraction of that for the way out, and suddenly it's too expensive. Suddenly is a scam. So the number wasn't the problem. The price is not the problem. And I'm not pointing this out to catch you in a contradiction. I'm pointing it out because that's a clue and a really important one. So if you're interested in finding out why, stay with me. Let's talk a little bit about money, okay? Because money is almost never about money. And I do have some videos about money on my channel if you're interested to watch that. A little more in-depth conversation about what money really is. Money is about safety, okay? When you spend on the loop, you're buying a sure thing. You know precisely what you're getting and exactly when. There's no risk of being seen, no risk of trying and failing. There's no hope on the line. But when you're actually asked to invest in changing, to invest in yourself, every one of those safety vanishes at once. Now you have to hope. Now you have to venture into the unknown. Now you have to picture a version of you that's better than this one. But the thing is, the hope is the most dangerous thing for a man who's been let down by himself over and over and over again. Because if you hope and it doesn't work, that seems to confirm the worst story you've been telling yourself, that you're the problem, that you're broken in some way that just can't be fixed. So the mind is going to do what it's built to do. Okay, something very clever and protective, obviously. It will kill the hope before the hope can hurt you. And it does it with a single word. Expensive, scam, fraud, not for me, not ready. All right? But underneath all of that, there's actually an armor. It was never really an opinion about the price. Now, I know that some people think about this, okay? That everyone's a grifter reflex. So I'm going to say something about that, okay? And I don't think that belief came out of nowhere. I'm pretty sure, like, somewhere along the line, you did trust and it did cost you maybe money, maybe more than just money. And your brain, again, was just built to protect you, wrote that rule. People just want what they can take from me. That rule kept you safe, yes. I get it. But Carl Jung had this idea that the things that we're the quickest to accuse the world of are often the things that we're most afraid to look at in ourselves. The man who's certain everyone is after his money is very often the man who's terrified of how badly he wants the thing that he refuses to pay for. Because the moment he admits he wants out, like really wants it, he loses the one thing that's been protecting him this whole time. His excuse. As long as it's all a scam, as long as nothing works, as long as everyone's a fraud, then staying stuck was never his fault. He's off the hook. But the instant he lets himself believe that there's a real way out, the victim's story falls apart. Now the years already gone are on him. He's responsible for all of that. And now the only thing standing between him and a different life is the work he keeps finding reasons not to do. And that truth is far more frightening than any grifter could ever be. So, of course it feels safer to call the whole world a scam than to admit out loud, I want out. And I could have started doing this a long time ago. I'm not saying that there are not grifters out there. There are, of course, so always be discerning. But what I wanted to do is to just learn the difference between, is this actually legit as a real question, and this is a scam as the protective shield talking. I just want to notice the part of you that's hunting for a reason to not begin doing the work. And let me be straight with you about money just this once, okay? Because I know some of you are thinking this, that I'm just doing this for the money and that I'm only after money and then, you know, blah, 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 I'm a grifter, I'm a scammer. Listen, if money were the point to me, I would continue to just do whatever I did until now. That would be much easier, or I could simply let men be at my feet and send me thousands of dollars, right, at a time, just the way that men offered, and never do any of this, really. You know, that's actually really easy money, and I have enough followers across the internet to just make money. It's easy for me to make money. Choosing to actually walk you out of the loop is the harder road for me. And I'm not telling you that to win you over. I don't need more fans, really. And honestly, I'm completely at peace with whatever you decide for me, whatever you decide about me. I'm telling you this because of what happens next. And I want you to watch that protective shield, what it does when it gets cornered. When something I say lands too close to the bone, I want you to notice that the man it exposed almost never argues with the actual point I'm making. He doesn't come back with, okay, here's where you're wrong. This doesn't work like this. No, he just comes straight for me, calling me names, throwing insults, and dehumanizing little jabs, and you know, there's nothing strong about that. And I'm very hard to be insulted. I think the work that I did before just made me immune to anything trying to shame me. So it's not working. The point is, my message got too close, so he goes after me. He goes after the messenger. So if you feel that heat rising right now, the urge to dismiss me, to hunt for the flaw, for the mistakes that I'm making, to decide that I'm a fraud and just click away, yeah, you can choose that, or you can choose not to do that. And just take notice of it, because that triggering feeling, that heat, is the tell. It's pointing you straight at the place where the real work lives. The thing a little too tender to look at head on. So, here's the shift that I want to give you. And if you accept it and if you integrate it, it's going to help you in so much more areas than just one. And it's just one letter. And I hope my English accent is going to do justice, but in any case, I'm just going to put it on the screen. The shift is the word expensive becoming expansive, all right? So think about it. Let's think about this together. Expensive is a word about loss. It's a word about losing something, about something leaving you and not coming back. So it makes you contract, it makes you afraid, it makes you tighten and guard, right? It makes you afraid of losing something. While on the other hand, expansive is a word about return, about something opening up because you put yourself into it and it makes you grow into space. When you spend on the loop, and that can get expensive, the money is just gone. And so are you. You're a little smaller, a little more hidden than before. When you invest in becoming the man who doesn't need the loop, the money does something completely different. It goes to work, it multiplies, it builds, it expands, it returns, and with benefits, because you put skin in the game, and the skin in the game is the whole thing. And now I really need you to hear this part because it's going to make sense. And I'm going to start by shouting out this guy who, under almost every video I post, he leaves some version of kind of the same comment, okay? He's commenting something like, I'm going to watch this video on repeat until I stop doing this, or until I stop feeling this way. And listen, if you're watching this video, I want you to know that I love those comments, okay? I really do, because they tell me the message resonates with you and that you really want badly enough to say it out loud. But I have to be honest with you, because I care more about you actually changing than about you feeling good for 30 seconds in my comment section. Watching a video on repeat feels like action. It feels like devotion, like progress, like you're doing something about it. But when you add a little pressure on that feeling, you're going to find the actual truth underneath. that it's the same passive intake as the loop itself. And what I mean by that is that you are still just consuming some form of content, okay? You're still taking something in and waiting for it to do the work for you. And honestly, no video, not mine or anyone's, not watched 100 times over, can replace the actual work that you must do for yourself. I can hand you the map, but you must do the walking. That part will always be yours to do. You've watched the free videos, you've read the threads, you probably understand your own patterns better than most people understand anything. And you're still in the loop. And you want to know why? Well, it's because information that costs you nothing changes nothing. Because taking in information and intellectualizing it, thinking about it, right, is not acting. You cannot create a real result in your life purely inside of your head. That is where it starts, yes, but you also have to move in that direction. And a man messaged me. He was 28 years old, and he said that he felt completely called out by everything I said. And then, almost in the same breath, he also wrote, "The problem is I can't handle the work it would take." And then he continues, "Maybe I'm just lazy, entitled, or maybe I'm just making excuses." And I want to be gentle here because I can recognize a man in real pain, and I also want to honor his honesty. But here's something that I could see that he couldn't. He never once put anything real on the line, anything that would actually make him move. And that's what looks like laziness from the inside, but I don't think it's laziness. It's this: when something costs you nothing, your mind quietly files it under maybe later. When you put real skin in the game, your money, your word, your commitment, your whole nervous system reorganizes around it. Suddenly, it's not information anymore, it's a decision. And you act on decisions in a way you will never act on ideas. And that's not a trick, that's just how the brain works. Now, the reset, the 14-day self-command reset, is one place that shift happens on purpose. In 2 weeks, with structure designed to make you move in real life, not just understand it intellectually. The link is down there in the description, but I want you to continue to stay with me because there was just one more piece I want to share with you before I end this video, okay? Because the exact same move you make with your money, you also make with the urge itself. When the urge hits, you really only have 2 moves you know how to make. You either grit your teeth and you really try to ignore the urge and try to suppress it and order yourself, I'm not thinking about it, and you white knuckle your way through it, or you just give in, right? And then you sit in the guilt afterwards and swearing to yourself that the next time is going to be different, the next time I'm going to get better. So again, there's 2 different roads, but you end up in the same dead end because both of them skip right over the one thing that actually changes anything. Let me show what I mean. Starting with that first move, okay? Because almost no one understands why it makes everything worse. Nobody talks about why you keep ending back into the loop. So a lot of people think it's being weak, or you have no willpower. It's not true. It's that every time you try to stop, you're using the one tool that not just that it doesn't work, it actually makes things worse. Because you're trying to suppress it. You're using suppression. But the thing is, the harder you try not to think about it, the louder that gets. And there is actually research on that. So here's what I want you to do instead right now, today. The next time the urge hits, do not fight it. Set a 10 minutes timer and do one physical thing like walking, taking a cold shower, drink a glass of water, do some push-ups, go for a walk, whatever. You're not resisting the urge. You are giving your nervous system time to settle so you can choose from a calmer place, all right? I want you to put a little time between the urge and the action so you can actually choose. But I'll keep it real with you. Oh, and by the way, that's what the King Shame Exit Kit does. And if you want help with that, I think it's easier to do that when you just use the Exit Kit Shame. And you can find that in my description below as well. But I'm gonna keep it real with you. That, including the King Shame Exit Kit, it's just the emergency brake. And if you use it, it will work in a moment. Yeah. But what it doesn't do is rebuild the self-trust you have been bleeding for years. And the part you already know but keep avoiding, well, that's another month of telling yourself you will deal with this later. Okay? And that is another month lost, gone. Another month of hiding, another month of the same loop, stealing your focus, your confidence, and your real life. Because think about it. All that time, like all those hours, they compound, and you could use those hours to just build something real in your life. The pattern doesn't pause when you wait to feel ready. The 14-day self-command reset is how you stop waiting and start changing. In 2 weeks, you will get 3 incredibly powerful audios, 2 workbooks, daily structure that rebuilds self-trust through evidence instead of shame. And the men who finish it stop recognizing the version of themselves that used to disappear into the loop. You can keep telling yourself tomorrow, or you can decide right now that you are done losing time to this. If you're ready for that change right now, the link is in the description. Don't let this be one more thing that you just mean to do. Now, one last thing. The word expensive wasn't about the price. I just want to conclude that. It was about whether you've decided you're worth the investment yet or not. The men who change, they're not richer than you. They just found the money the same way they always found it for the loop. The only difference is that they finally aimed it differently, all right? They aimed it at what makes them grow instead of what makes them numb and disappear. And if this landed, or at least something within this video landed, I wanted to drop one word in the comments. Drop expansive. All right? I still read the comments. I probably shouldn't read them, all of them, but I still read them. All right, well, I think that's everything that I had to share with you for today's video for this week. I hope to see you inside the 14-day self-command reset and work with you. And remember that I love you. And I'll see you in the next one. Mwah.